Section 1. A city divided Athens before Solon. Athens in the 6th century BC. Imagine a city simmering with unrest. A city on the brink. The gap between the rich and the poor was a chasm. The wealthy landowners, holding all the power, tightened their grip on the poor. Farmers, crushed by debt, were forced to sell themselves and their families into slavery. The threat of civil war hung heavy in the air. Something had to give. Athens, though poised on the brink of chaos, was also a city of immense potential. It was a place where new ideas could flourish, where art and philosophy were beginning to blossom. But the social and political turmoil threatened to snuff out this potential before it could be fully realized. Athens needed a solution, a leader who could navigate the treacherous waters of social unrest and chart a new course for the city. Athens needed Solon. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient Athens, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Philosophy Haven 101. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Like, share, and leave a comment. Your support helps us bring more insightful content to you. Section 2. Enter Solon, the wise man of Athens. Solon was not your average Athenian. A poet, a philosopher, a lawmaker, and a general, Solon was a man of many talents. Born into a noble family, he could have easily enjoyed a life of privilege and ease. Instead, he chose to devote himself to public service, driven by a deep sense of justice and a belief in the power of reason. Solon's wisdom and fairness were renowned throughout Athens. He was known for his even-handedness, his ability to see both sides of an argument, and his commitment to finding solutions that were fair to all. When the crisis in Athens reached a boiling point, it was to Solon that the people turned, desperate for a leader who could restore order and harmony to their beloved city. Section 3. Shaking the foundation, Solon's economic reforms. Solon's first order of business was to address the economic crisis crippling Athens. His solution: a radical concept called seisaktheia, which translates to shaking off of burdens. With this act, Solon cancelled all outstanding debts and forbade debt slavery, effectively freeing thousands of Athenians from economic bondage. This was no mere redistribution of wealth. Solon went further, enacting reforms to prevent future economic imbalances. He limited the amount of land any one person could own, encouraged the growth of trade and industry, and introduced a new system of weights and measures to ensure fairness in the marketplace. These economic reforms were daring, even dangerous, for they challenged the very foundation of Athenian society. Yet they were essential steps towards creating a more just and equitable city. Section 4. Justice for all, Solon's legal reforms. Solon believed that justice was the cornerstone of a stable society. Under the previous system, law in Athens was a tangled web controlled by the aristocracy. Solon swept this away, establishing a new legal code that applied equally to all citizens, regardless of their social standing. This new legal code covered a wide range of issues, from murder and assault to property disputes and inheritance laws. One of Solon's most significant legal innovations was the introduction of trial by jury. This revolutionary concept gave ordinary citizens a direct voice in the justice system, a radical departure from the old system where justice was dispensed solely by the elite. By establishing a fair and transparent legal system, Solon laid the groundwork for a more just and equitable society. His reforms ensured that all citizens, not just the privileged few, had access to the law and could expect equal treatment under the law. Section 5. Power to the people, Solon's political reforms. Solon's reforms weren't limited to economics and the law. He recognized that true justice and stability could only be achieved through a more equitable distribution of political power. At the time, Athenian politics was dominated by a small group of elite families. Solon sought to change this by empowering the ordinary citizen. He reorganized Athenian society into 4 classes based on wealth, with each class having different rights and responsibilities. While this may sound like a way of reinforcing existing hierarchies, it actually had the opposite effect. It gave all citizens, even those in the lower classes, a say in government. For the first time, ordinary Athenians could hold public office, serve on juries, and participate in the assembly, the main legislative body of Athens. This marked a significant step towards democracy. Section 6. The Athenian Constitution. A blueprint for democracy? Solon's reforms culminated in a new constitution for Athens. This constitution, while not establishing a full-fledged democracy that would come later, laid the groundwork for democratic principles to take root. It established a framework for a government accountable to its citizens, a government where power was shared and decisions were made through deliberation and debate. Central to this new constitution was the creation of the Boule, a council of 400 citizens chosen by lot from the 4 different classes. The Boule's role was to prepare legislation for the assembly to vote on, ensuring that the concerns of all citizens were represented in the political process. While Solon's constitution didn't create a perfect system, it was a remarkable achievement for its time. It replaced a system of arbitrary rule with one based on laws and institutions, a system that, while imperfect, offered a foundation upon which Athenian democracy could eventually flourish. Section 7. The Aftermath of Reform, Solon's Mixed Legacy. Solon's reforms were met with mixed reactions. Many, especially the poor and the disenfranchised, hailed him as a hero, a savior, who had rescued Athens from the brink of collapse. However, his reforms also earned him powerful enemies among the elite, who resented their loss of privilege and power. Solon himself was not a utopian idealist. He knew that his reforms would not please everyone and that true change takes time. He famously remarked that he had not given the Athenians the best laws he could devise, but rather the best laws they could receive. Despite the challenges and opposition, Solon's reforms had a profound and lasting impact on Athenian society. They paved the way for the development of Athenian democracy, laying the groundwork for a system of government where power resided not in the hands of a privileged few, but in the hands of the people. Section 8. Solon's Enduring Lessons, the Importance of Balance. Solon's story holds valuable lessons for us today, reminding us that true justice and stability require a delicate balance. He understood that a just society must find a balance between the interests of the individual and the needs of the community, between the rights of the wealthy and the needs of the poor. His reforms were not about punishing the rich or simply transferring wealth to the poor. They were about creating a system where everyone had a fair chance to succeed, where the law applied equally to all, and where power was shared more broadly. Solon's legacy lies not only in the specific laws he enacted, but in the principles that guided his actions. Justice, fairness, moderation, and a belief in the power of reason and dialogue to solve even the most intractable problems. Section 9. Echoes of Solon, Ancient Greece in the Modern World. Though separated by over 2.5 millennia, the echoes of Solon's reforms can still be heard in the halls of power today. The principles he championed, the rule of law, citizen participation in government, and the importance of a balanced and just society, continue to resonate in modern democracies around the world. The United States Constitution, with its emphasis on separation of powers, checks and balances, and the protection of individual rights, owes a debt of gratitude to the ideas that first took root in ancient Athens. The very notion of democracy, of a government by and for the people, can be traced back to the reforms initiated by Solon. Section 10. The Rule of Law, a Timeless Principle. Perhaps the most enduring legacy of Solon's reforms is the concept of the rule of law. Solon believed that no one, not even the most powerful, should be above the law. This principle, that the law should apply equally to all, remains a cornerstone of any just and democratic society. When we see citizens demanding accountability from their leaders, when we see courts upholding the rights of individuals against the power of the state, we see the enduring legacy of Solon's vision, a vision of a society governed not by the whims of the powerful, but by a fair and impartial legal system. Section 11. Solon's warning, the fragility of justice. Yet, Solon's story also serves as a cautionary tale. His reforms, while groundbreaking, did not usher in a golden age of peace and prosperity. The struggle for justice and equality is an ongoing one, a marathon, not a sprint. Athens, even after Solon, faced its share of turmoil and upheaval. This reminds us that even the most well-intentioned reforms are not self-sustaining. They require constant vigilance, a commitment from each generation to safeguard the principles of justice, fairness, and the rule of law. As inheritors of Solon's legacy, it is our duty to heed his warning, to remember that the pursuit of a just and equitable society is a journey, not a destination, a journey that demands our constant attention, our unwavering commitment, and our willingness to reform and adapt in the face of new challenges.